Always trying to adjust as we get started. I'm obviously in a new space. I am in Iowa. Gosh, these days are all running into each other. A lot of traveling this month, and honestly I didn't realize this month was gonna be this crazy, but it's okay. I'm a little nervous to record this episode, and I think I might get emotional, and I'm gonna try not to. But that's what this channel is all about, right? Is the real me. So this week was Valentine's Day, and in light of a holiday that's all about love, I decided I was going to share more about that part of who I am. I think people who know me know about my love life, and I guess lack thereof, for the past couple of years. But everybody that's new doesn't, so I don't really have a plan for this. It might be a little messy, so hopefully you'll stick it out, and then I'm gonna do a Q&A at the end. I have seen some of the questions, but I haven't prepped answers, so you're gonna get to see the live action of my answers to all your questions. But I'm just gonna jump in with my coming out story. So I'll just start there. I came out as a lesbian in the fall of 2014. It was my senior year of college, and I had secretly been dating a girl for, we'd probably been officially dating for about a month, a little over, but we had been like talking and being secretive and sneaky longer than that. Yeah, but that was when I decided to come out, right? Anyone who's been through this process knows that you never stop coming out. I still have to do that on a regular basis. And it looks a little different now, which I'll get to. But let's go back to me coming out. So I officially came out in the fall of 2014, but hindsight's always 2020, and I think as early as the fall of 2013, I was starting to realize this was coming to light. I was having a crazy internal battle with myself and could never pinpoint why. I was so unhappy, I was so angry. I was spending the semester in Washington, D.C. in the fall of 2013, and I was just mad and really sad, and I just couldn't wrap my head around why. And now I realized I was internalizing a lot of fear. I, at that point, had not admitted to myself that I was attracted to women. I was in a serious relationship with a guy, and I just thought that him and I were going through a rough patch. But you know, I was with him through the following summer of 2014, and that summer was really when I admitted it to myself. And I stayed with him through all that summer because I thought I was supposed to be with him, which is not fair. I know that now. I was young, and I was scared, and I didn't know what it meant. And it wasn't until it really wasn't until I kissed the girl who I ended up dating that I was like, yep, this is what's been going on. I'm gay. And since I've come out, you know, it's been what, 8-ish years, I realized I had a lot of suppressed childhood memories about liking girls. girls and kissing girls when I was really, really young. And I was really, really young. And I was really, really young when I was dating this guy. And I was really, really young when I was dating this guy. And I was really, really young when I was dating this guy. And I was really, really young when I was dating this guy. And I was really, really young when I was dating this guy. And I was really, really young when I was dating this guy. And I was really, really young when I was dating this guy. And I was really, really young when I was dating this guy. And I was really, really young when I was dating this guy. And I was really, really young when I was dating this guy. And I was really, really young when I was dating this guy. And I was really, really young when I was dating this guy. And I was really, really young when I was dating this guy. And I was really, really young when I was dating this guy. And I was really, really young when I was dating this guy. And I was really, really young when I was dating this guy. And I was really, really young when I was dating this guy. And I was really, really young when I was dating this guy. And I was really, really young when I was dating this guy. And I was really, really young when I was dating this guy. And I was really, really young when I was dating this gu it's weird how where we're raised and society in general, how that can push down my feelings at such a young age, right? I spent 21 years of my life only exploring relationships with men when I was attracted to women and felt safe with women and truly like myself. And I apologize because I feel like I'm bopping all over the place, but I didn't plan this out at all, so it's a little messy and timeline's gonna be weird because I don't remember things, but this is real. So I started secretly dating a girl, and I had it, even just admitting it to myself was like a huge weight off my shoulders. But I'm not good at keeping secrets. They feel so heavy to me. Especially secrets that make me suppress who I am. So I finally said, you know, I can't hide this part of me anymore. I understand if you're not ready to do that, but I can't hide. So I have to tell my family, I have to tell my friends. And so that's, we both ended up doing that. And it's funny because we thought that her parents were going to be upset and that mine were going to be super laid back about it, and it actually ended up being the opposite. The first person in my family that I told was actually my grandma, which seems backwards because she's like textbook grandma, you know, goes to church, loves God, which sometimes it's scary to tell somebody who lives a religious facing life that you're gay. You know, I don't know what she was gonna say, but she's one of my best friends, and especially at that point in my life, her and I went to dinner. It was the day before Thanksgiving, and I told her, and she wasn't mad. She was shocked, and she was concerned that I was gonna be different, that I was going to become a different person. She just like didn't want me to be upset or think that she wouldn't love me. So her and I went to, you know, our whole family was at Thanksgiving the next day, and her and I are the only two that knew. And so it was like this weird secret that we were both holding on to. And she knew I was really emotional because I was gonna tell my mom that night. And when I told my mom, I was really emotional. It wasn't bad, but it also wasn't, I don't know what I was expecting. Just a lot of questions, and I think I was in such a vulnerable state, and then now she was too. We weren't really sure how to communicate about it. I would say more confusion than anything, and also just she was concerned how people would treat me, judge me. So that created some tension for sure. My relationship with my mom has ebbed and flowed my whole life. We'll go through phases where we aren't super close, phases where we are, and I think I told her at a time when we just weren't. But because her reaction wasn't as warm as I thought it might be, I didn't tell anyone else in my family for like another 6 months, not even my dad. I don't know, I was just scared of rejection. Nobody likes rejection. I was scared of opinions and judgment and all of the things she was fearful of. And so I just didn't tell them. But back at school, all of my friends knew. At school, I was out, but at home, I wasn't. So it was Easter about 6 months later, and my dad made a joke. I don't remember. Okay, yeah, I remember now. So I was still with the girl I had started dating, and I was FaceTiming her in my bedroom. And my bedroom was right off of the living room. I came out, and my dad made this joke that was like, well, who was that? Your girlfriend? And I immediately panicked, like assuming that my mom had told him and like didn't give me a heads up. And so I just like started getting emotional again and stormed off into my room. And then I heard them kind of bickering, and then I knew had to go run an errand or something. So when he left, I sent him a text message, and all I said was, I'm so sorry I didn't tell you. I'm sorry that you had to hear from mom. I just hope that like you'll forgive me and that you won't be mad at me. He calls me and he says, what are you talking about? And in that moment, I realized that his joke about a girlfriend was exactly that. A joke, or he was referencing just a friend of mine. But now it was on the table and I had to tell him. So he came home, he sat in my room, I told him, and I think that was the best thing I ever did in terms of like mending this weird dynamic my mom and I had created, because he was like, why didn't you tell me sooner? Did you think I wouldn't love you? And I'm so grateful, because like I know a lot of people don't have that love and support. Like, even though my mom and I did have a strained relationship for a while because of it, I still knew she was there, you know? I wasn't abandoned or disowned, and not everybody gets that. So I'm very, very thankful that I had that. Because also, in addition to that, like, my dad now knows, and he's supportive, and his family knows, and they're supportive, and all of my friends are supportive. And so I'm really thankful that I was cornered by the universe into telling my dad. Which, total side note, family is weird and confusing, and if you ever hear me say my dad, I'm referring to my stepdad. I just like don't call him by his first name anymore, and that's what I'm talking about. So anyone that knows my life, my family, I'm talking about my stepdad. So anyways, after that, things got great, you know? I was open and out to pretty much everybody. I wish I had somebody sitting here with me to talk about this. I feel funny talking to myself. I've since been in another long-term relationship with another girl, but have not been in a long-term relationship with anybody since early 2020. I've been in a couple like shorter term flings. I don't know that I'd call them flings, but I also don't chalk them up to being relationships. But more or less have been single. So when I say that I've had suppressed memories, it was like, there are distinct moments from my childhood when I remember looking at a girl or a woman and thinking, oh my god, they are breathtaking. Like, I am so attracted to them, and then saying to myself in my head, but you're not gay. You're not actually attracted to them. What? When was that ever placed in my brain that I could think that way? I also know that this is so embarrassing. When I was really young, like I'm talking 5 or 6, one of my best friends from elementary school, who honestly moved away when we were in like 2nd or 3rd grade, but we used to have slumber parties, and I remember like kissing her and like saying she was my girlfriend, but us knowing it had to be a secret. Like, what the? First of all, am I the only one that was kissing people that early? I mean, she was too, I guess. But I remember that distinctly. And of course, like when you're that little, like you don't understand the necessarily like emotional connection to kissing. But I truly believe I knew I was attracted to women then, which makes things confusing because I dated men, you know, early high school, like flirt, like I didn't have real relationships in like middle school, but like all through high school and pretty much all through college, I dated men. And I do think like I was also attracted to them, but I was just missing a really important piece of me, which was that I was attracted to women. Which brings me to my next point. I realized at the turn of 2022 that I may also still be attracted to men. And not, it's so hard to describe. I had quite the identity crisis, and I think the problem is that I felt like, or I know that I have identified as lesbian for the past 8 years, and I am fully attracted to women, but I almost felt like I was betraying myself and betraying the LGBTQ plus community by now also admitting that I was attracted to men, because I don't know what label is correct or incorrect to use. I feel like I have to re-come out in a different way and explain that, and I shouldn't have to do that, but it kind of feels like it sometimes. Like people finding out that I was talking to a guy and the first thing out of their mouth is, I thought you were gay. It's like, well, I am, but I also am attracted to this person, and it's really hard to wrap your head around it. Because it's easy for me out loud to say labels are bullshit, but labels can also make things easier for people to understand. It's easier for someone to wrap their head around the idea that I'm only attracted to women or men. And if I'm attracted to men and women, I must be bisexual, right? Where it's like, I don't feel that like that's who I am. When I came out as a lesbian, I started to really become the woman I am today. Really became myself after coming out. So after realizing that I might love more than just women, I was torn, because I preach and practice, you know, following your gut, not really your heart, like what does your gut tell you to do, what feels right, and you know, pursuing that potential relationship and talking to that person who happens to be a guy felt really right. But on the other hand, I felt like I was betraying the woman I had grown into. And so after, you know, quite the identity crisis and a lot of research into is this normal, I don't identify as bisexual. I instead identify a couple different ways. I still don't know, because labels are bullshit. But if I had to put a label on it, I would say that I'm pansexual, which essentially just means I'm attracted to personality. 99% of the time, it's a woman, or in my experience thus far, but there's that 1% that happens to be a man. Whew. And that's something I've been wanting to get off my chest for a while. Oh man. I don't know what that means. Dating sucks. Literally, I'm not good at it, and I work a lot. I don't know what that means for my future, and honestly I'm trying to not overthink it in either way. I'm just doing what feels right. I'm sure that there are pieces of all of the stories that I left out. If you have specific questions, like, I'm happy to answer them. You can drop them in the comments of this video. You can DM me on Instagram. I try to answer them as well as I can, and it's just so important to remember that, like, yeah, everybody's story is different. Everybody's experience is totally different. I, again, know that I'm, for the most part, extremely lucky for how my situation played out. I feel like I missed so many pieces of the puzzle, but like just a general overview of what happened and how it played out. Hopefully I included it all. And let's answer some questions, shall we? Have you always been a lesbian? I have bad luck with men and wonder if girls are different. That's an interesting question. As I said in the video, I do believe I've always been attracted to women. I did not come out as a lesbian until the fall of 2014. But I didn't come out because I was having bad luck with men or felt like men were hard to be with. It was more of, no, I'm attracted to that instead. I think if you are questioning if you're attracted to women and you think you might be, maybe try to explore that. If you're only doing it because you have bad luck with men, that's probably not the case. Maybe just look for men elsewhere than where you've been looking recently. How do you identify? If I had to identify, I would say pansexual. Heavy on the attracted to women, but I am honestly, unfortunately, attracted to some men. Did talking with people in depth about coming out make it easier? It did. Just like I mentioned, sometimes when you ask questions, it makes it easier for me to talk about it, and honestly, it makes me understand myself more when I talk to people in depth about it. I think when I was, you know, newly out, and videos like this one really helped me, so hopefully it'll help other people too. Oh my gosh. My best friend sent a question and said, why did you not think your BFF was attractive when you told her? So when I came out to my best friend, Kayla, I was so nervous, and we were like getting ready to go out. She was like in a towel after the shower because I was like prepping myself to tell her while she was getting ready. She's like, dude, just spit it out. And I was like, okay. And I told her, and she's like, why were you so nervous to tell me? So then I knew it was fine, which is so silly. I should have known she was gonna love me regardless, but like, it's scary. And she's like, so does that mean like I can't get ready in front of you anymore? And she's kind of joking, but I was like, dude, no, I'm not into you. And it is still a running joke that she's like, first of all, rude. You don't think I'm attractive. I'm like, that's not what I'm saying. I think you're beautiful. She's hands down one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen. She's also not my type. That's what I was trying to explain to her. She knows this. Kayla, you know this. But it's a valid question. And honestly, hopefully keeps the people engaged. Were there people in your life you were afraid to tell? How did you navigate that? I was afraid to tell everybody. I was so nervous that people were going to treat me differently, or decide to not love me anymore. I don't know that anyone in particular, like before I told them, that I was like, oh my god, I'm really nervous to tell this person because I know they're gonna take it bad. Other than like my family. I found ripping off the band-aid just makes it easier. What is your favorite part about being in love? That's a tough question. I think the security of knowing somebody's choosing you, like no matter what. And I've really only experienced that once in my life. And it is a beautiful thing. I find myself sometimes now, when I think about my future and being with somebody, you know, I get like a pang of jealousy, right? Of people who've found that for real. And thinking like, God, what does it feel like to just like be with your person and to be chosen? And I know I'll get to feel it again. I think that's my favorite thing. Advice for people wanting to come out who are afraid, or advice in general. There's no timeline around when you have to do it. Any timeline you've set, you are still in control of. So don't let the pressures of other people or society make you feel ready when you're not. Now I'm going to talk out of both sides of my mouth and say you'll never 100% feel ready to do it. It will always be scary. There will always be, I'll wait for a better time. If you have a voice in the back of your mind or a gut feeling that you should be doing it, maybe that means you should be doing it. Just know that, like, if the worst were to happen, right, which is the people you love change, the relationships you value change, there still are people out there, myself included, who want to love you and support you for who you are exactly. Because I know what it feels like to hide, and I know the fear of not being loved and the fear of losing relationships over being who I am. And had I just realized that there are literal strangers out there who would love nothing more than to support me and love me through this hard time, I do think I would have approached it differently, would have felt stronger. And I know that doesn't fix the hurt or the fear, but it's there. The support system is there. What do you look for in a partner, boy or girl? That's a good question. I've always really been big on love languages, and it's funny that I'm big on it because my love languages have changed the more I've become myself. My #1 receiving love language is acts of service, which is hilarious because it's always been bottom of my list, or so I thought. I just look for somebody who is driven. I want you to be able to match my energy when it comes to chasing a career. Somebody who loves their people hard. That can be family for you, if that's what it is. It can be friends. Just, you know, you take care of your people. I tend to be attracted to smart asses. It's probably because I'm a smart ass. I really hope I end up with someone who's willing to work through hard shit. You know, realistic that things don't always come easy, that you don't live in this fantasy honeymoon phase forever. You go through phases of life and things change. You change, like you should change. And I'm really eager to find someone who like wants to change alongside one another. As I have grown in myself, it takes a lot to piss me off. So like, just be honest. I probably won't actually get that mad about things. Which is hilarious. I've not always been like that. Hardest lesson you've learned from dating or love, etc. I'm trying to think of how to put this into words. Just because you want them to be the one doesn't mean they're meant to be. It's a really hard pill to swallow. I believe that whatever it is you believe in, a God, the universe, a higher power, I truly believe that it is always working in your favor. And if someone is taken out of your life, that happens for a reason. And it's okay if you don't accept that immediately, because you have to go through the growing pains of losing somebody to really understand that. Like it took me a long time to get here, but the longer I hold on to what I want versus what I'm supposed to have, the longer it will take for me to get what I'm supposed to have. But life is so much easier when you only worry about what you can and cannot control. And that is myself. I can only control the way I react, the way I get up when I'm knocked down, how hard I work, my ability to rest, you know, like I'm in control of myself. And I shouldn't have to beg the universe, a God, I shouldn't have to beg a person to want to choose me, no matter how bad I want to. So that's the biggest lesson I've learned. But okay, well that is a wrap, I think. Hopefully that this is good enough content that I can put this out. And honestly, like I mentioned, if you have any questions or feedback, I loved doing the Q&A. And just thank you for loving and supporting me through this journey. I'm so thankful that this is my life and that I get to talk about this on this platform. So I love you guys.